Hey pillars, welcome back to a brand new video. We're doing a bike comparison. It's been a while since I've done it, so we're gonna jump right into it right now. But this was requested by a viewer. Henry's asking, could you please do a comparison between a Giant TCR Advanced 2 disc and a Orbea ORCA M30? So let's jump right into this comparison. So if you guys have been subscribing to the channel, I really do appreciate it. We're almost at 5,000 subscribers, so a big thank you to you guys. But other than that, with these videos, and especially since it's gonna be moving into winter months here in Canada, I'm most likely gonna focus on bike comparisons. So if you guys have any suggestions or bike comparisons that you want me to do in terms of value, in terms of my experience, what I think would be a better value, then leave in the comment section down below. It really helps with content ideas. So just putting it out there. If you guys want me to compare a bike, leave in the comment section down below. Now I'm gonna go for the uncommon bike in this bike comparison to take a look at first, and that's made by Orbea, and we're looking at specifically the ORCA M30. I'm pretty sure this is the 2021 model, but Orbea is a pretty interesting company because I have not seen an Orbea in real life in terms of on a group ride. So it's pretty unique is that this bike company is very popular in Spain, and I remember seeing these bikes used by United Healthcare, which is a North America Continental Pro team, and on Cofidis, I think they used it a couple years back. This bike company has been used in the Pro Peloton, but in terms of recent, I don't think they have a pro bike right now for World Tour at least, and this bike is not common in North America, so it did really intrigue me, and I'm pretty sure this bike can be sent to the United States definitely because we're looking at it right now. And when I looked at the checkout for United States, you don't actually get slapped with a very hefty shipping fee, and I'm pretty sure this is available in Canada also, but I'm not sure. But I know for 100% from what I could tell, it's in the United States. So looking at this bike, I can already tell that it's giving me tarmac vibes. You can see with the drop, rear seat stays at the back, so pretty standard. At least when you look at the Pro World Tour team bikes and you see the designs, pretty much everyone's going for this mix of aero and all around bike, pretty much a sloping but pretty much a flat top tube with the drop seat stays at the back, pretty common. And you can see the integration that happens at the stem. You really don't want cables. Then again, I'll get into why I don't like that necessarily, but in terms of just the look of it, I think it's a really nice looking bike. You can already see it has a 105 crank, so I do like seeing that. And we're gonna look at it. It comes in a nice black, and that's one thing a lot of bike companies struggle with is I like clean, simple bike colors. I don't like super flashy stuff. So when we look at the metallic electric orange, you can see right here, not a bad color. It reminds me of like cyclocross bikes, but I would definitely not go for it. And this white-ish iris gloss is really nice too, but I'd probably go for the nice raw carbon. It's simple, it's classic. I really do like just simple colors. But anyways, now let's take a look at the specs because that's what Henry wants us to do. So from what I can tell, it has a carbon fiber frame, which is obviously nice for road vibrations. Now the fork, I always forget to mention this sometimes. So the fork itself, so the fork is the part that holds the wheel. That is made out of carbon. But the actual cylinder piece, which is called the steer, that's made out of aluminum in this situation. And from what I can tell in terms of a engineering and pricing and value standpoint, is that a carbon steer would be lighter, but in terms of road quality, in terms of the quality of the ride, that really depends on the fork. So yes, the aluminum steer is going to be heavier. However, it's not going to affect performance in terms of road quality and road vibrations if you had a carbon steer instead. So it's very important that people realize that, because an aluminum steer is just heavier, it's not going to affect road quality, just it won't be as light as a carbon steer. So they usually do that to save money because obviously carbon is more expensive because it's lighter. Going into the crankset, we have a Shimano 105. Taking a look at the handlebar and stem, we can see that's aluminum. Now Shimano shifters in terms of brakes also. So this is all in the R7000 series in terms of 105. So really nice new stuff. This is the newest 105. Cassette Shimano 105, rear derailleur 105. So you can see they didn't really cheap out on any parts. The front derailleur 105, rear derailleur, as I said, was 105. Chain KMC, which is pretty standard with budget bikes. Wheels are Orbea Wheel Ready 19. I'm not sure if these are tubeless, but I definitely know for the price these are going to be aluminum rims. And then tires, Victoria Rigid Bead 700 by 28. So you can see, because it's a disc brake bike, it has a little bit of clearance, and for 28mm tires, it'd be pretty comfortable. I'm still used to 25mm tires on my bikes. One thing interesting that I can see is that it comes with a kit tubeless or tubeless kit. I don't know why they put it reverse, but that basically means that probably the wheels are set up just as normal clinchers, but then you could actually use the rim tape with this kit and with the valve and actually make it tubeless if you wanted to. So it's nice that they give you the option of setting it up. Now from my experience with tubeless, it's super nice, but it does have its fair shares of disadvantages that I've kind of run into where I had to get it reset up tubeless. So it can be quite of a nuisance sometimes if it's not running correctly. But for the most part, I think tubeless is an overall good wheel system in terms of road quality. Just the fact you can lower tire pressure and have a more quality, more cushioned ride. I really do enjoy it for that reason. So looking at the Orbea, I'll give you guys my thoughts. I think it's a very nice looking bike. Like I said, I haven't seen these bikes in North America often, but in terms of the value, you're getting a full 105 group set, carbon fiber frame and fork with the aluminum steerer. Taking a look at a closer picture, you can see the cables are not totally hidden, but they try to make it their best attempt at it. Also here, I'm pretty sure where you can see my cursor, I'm pretty sure that's the bolt that makes the seat post go up and down. I don't necessarily like it there. I like the traditional collar just because imagine you're away on vacation and something happens, you strip a bolt or something. You don't want to get into that finicky stuff where you can't find a replacement. I'm not sure if there's a wedge. I'm pretty sure it's internal. I haven't had my chance to get my hands on one of these systems where I've seen the bolts on the actual frame. But other than that, 105 crank, it looks like a compact crank from the looks of it. Let me see, actually, if we look back at the crank set, a 5034, so I was correct, it is a compact crank. Other than that, really nice stuff. Now you're probably asking, what is the price of the bike? And the bike is going for $2,400 USD. I rounded it up, but $2,400 USD for this bike is a great value. Now taking a look at the Giant TCR Advanced 2 Disc Pro Compact 2021, we're gonna see exactly how this differs from the ORCA M30. So basically, from what I know, because obviously I know a lot about the Giant TCR, you have a carbon frame and fork. Now I'm not too sure if the steerer is aluminum on this one, but this bike is retailing for $2,500 USD. So there's a price difference of $100 USD with the Orbea, and we'll actually see what's different. Now the one thing that catches my eye right off the bat is you can see that for the shifting cables, it's going through the down tube right here. So we'll zoom in right here. You see this cable, not a big fan of it whatsoever. Now, if we're actually looking at the ORCA Orbea M30, you can see that the cables are nicely hidden through the cockpit near the stem, and there's no shifting cables going down the down tube. So I really do like that. Where on the Giant TCR, you can see the cables are exposed. It is not clean looking. Now, I always like to say this, that if you do your own bike maintenance, it probably is going to be easier for you to access it, whereas if you were to have an integrated cockpit like we see with the Orbea, it might be a little bit tricky to finick with all the cables. But then again, most riders are taking their bike for their local shop to do a proper tune-up at the beginning of the season, depending on how much you ride. So I would say either system really depends on what you're comfortable with. I think any bike, it takes a while to get used to it. Now I know from a mechanic's perspective, obviously integration obviously makes it a little bit harder for them to do their job, but they're still able to do it. Just takes a little bit more finesse to do it. Whereas when the cables are exposed like on the Giant TCR, it's easier. But I would just say for looks wise, if you're going to take it to a bike shop and it's going to be the same price whether you have your cables exposed or if it's fully integrated, at that point I would totally go with the ORCA M30 in terms of cable integration, just because it looks cleaner. This looks way newer, sleeker. It's crazy how exposed cables can make such a difference. When this bike first released, I didn't think it would be that much of a problem because I thought the value was so good, but obviously that isn't the case because the ORCA M30 looks amazing. Now continuing looking at the specs on this TCR Advanced 2 Disc Pro Compact, we can actually see, other than the carbon frame and fork, it has all aluminum components in terms of the stem, handlebar, and seat post. The shifters, everything else is 105. They don't really specify which model 105, so they don't say the 7000 series. I really do appreciate it when bike companies actually put which specific model of 105 or the group set. It helps customers that might not be too well versed with the different componentry to have a better sense of what they're getting rather than just generic Shimano 105. And sometimes you actually see bike companies doing some sketchy things where they put cheaper or older 105 on their bikes. So I really don't appreciate Giant doing that, just leaving it just generic Shimano 105. They should have just easily put 7000 series or whatever the exact name is. In terms of the cassette, 1130, same gear ratio that we see on the Orbea, so that's the rear cassette 1130. Taking a look at the crank, we have a 5236 semi-compact crank. Now one thing I hate about this crank is that it's not a Shimano 105 crank, so this is actually a cheaper crank. This is a Shimano RS 510 semi-compact crank. On the Orbea, we actually had a 5034 compact crank, which means it's a little bit smaller, but obviously better for new cyclists or cyclists that are not the best at climbing. And it was actually a 105 crank, so I'd like to see that the Orbea actually has a better value in terms of the crank quality. So that's great to see on the Orbea. Disappointing to see that you're paying an extra $100 for the Giant TCR, and you're getting a cheaper crank. Now in terms of the rims, we have the Giant PR2 disc wheel set. Now these are tubeless tires, 25 millimeters, but I'm gonna say right now in terms of the rims, these are absolutely terrible. Now I had the rim brake versions of this rim, and 2 spokes broke within 2 months of riding it, and this was on my 2020 TCR, and tried to get a warranty. Giant had the absolutely worst warranty I've ever experienced with any bike company. They basically made me chase after them to get a warranty. It was the worst experience I've ever had, and I'm not going to go into it too details in this video, but I made a video on my channel explaining my whole experience. But anytime someone asks me to do a bike comparison with a Giant TCR, I'm just going to explain and remind people I had the worst experience with warranty with them. So I can only imagine if you had something even worse happen. That's my opinion. I just want to always express that, because no matter what bike company I've experienced with in the future, whether it's shoes, helmet, frames, whatever bike company, if I have a bad warranty experience and I'm talking about that bike company, I'm definitely going to share with whatever the subject of the video I make in the future is. So I just want you guys to remember that. I'm always going to try to be as transparent as possible. So yeah, Giant, worst warranty experience. So I'd have to say in terms of the quality of the rim, the PR2s are absolutely terrible if you can't get them warranted when spokes pop. And I've heard it from multiple people that had the Giant TCR, at least the value entry level advanced 2 TCRs, the rims are terrible. So something that I actually really like that Giant does is they show a 3D model of the bike, so you can really see, but you can see the cables here go through the down tube. It just makes the bike look so ugly, and you can see the cables out here. Now I'm not too extra about it. At the end of the day, I have my cables exposed on my bike. It's not the end of the world. But when you actually look at the Orbea ORCA M30, you see how clean the integration is. It just looks nicer. It looks more modern, especially if this bike's $100 cheaper. You're not only getting a better crank, you're getting an actual 105 crank, and you're getting full integration, which just looks cleaner. And that's where it leads me into pretty much the conclusion of this bike comparison. So other than the fact that the Orbea is $100 cheaper, has better integration, a better crank, and basically all the same components, other than maybe the steerer on the fork being carbon on the Giant TCR, which I don't think it is, honestly. So pretty much everything being very much similar, I would have to give it to the Orbea ORCA M30 in terms of value for less than $100. Now I don't know, maybe if some things are you have to upgrade them for this bike, but from what I can tell, like I said, I'm not that experienced with Orbea, but based on this, if this is truly $2,400 USD, the value is crazy when compared to Giant, for the fact you're saving $100, getting a better crank, and you have integration in terms of cables. And hands down, guys, when we go back to the nice raw carbon black, that looks super nice. So I'm very astonished. If this, I'm going to keep doing my research on Orbea, because thanks to Henry, this basically caught my eye and it's like, damn, Orbea seems to be a value company. Like, they care about the value that they provide their customers. So I'm going to do some more research on Orbea, and who knows, maybe the Orbea is going to become this new standard when it goes to the best bike in terms of value for 2021, which I will be making a video for that. So stay tuned for that if you guys want to see. I'm going to do a lot of research to try to find the best value. And that always leads you guys support the channel. So comment if you guys know a really good value that's better than this value. Leave in the comment section down below. Now I know some rim brakes are obviously like $200 cheaper than these disc value bikes because they are rim brakes. So that's another lane. But since majority of things are disc, so far, this is probably the best value bike I've seen, because I used to think the TCRs were the best value. So if this is a disc brake bike and it's $100 cheaper, I'd be interested to see if Orbea offers a rim brake version of the ORCA M30. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. So that's another, worth researching to figure out if they do. But yeah, guys, I don't want to make this video longer than it has to be, but damn, like, I really would love to get my hands on this and actually see it in hand and actually ride it and get a good feel of it. And for the price, if Giant's pricing theirs at $2,500, the carbon can't be that drastically different. I can't imagine Orbea selling like a clunky frame for $2,400 if there's a $100 difference. But it's just cool to see how they were able to do the integration, which looks so clean, and you get the 105 crank. So, this bike, I would say easily looks like a $4,000 bike. Obviously it isn't, because the components are not $4,000. But in terms of looks, like, I look at this bike, I'm like, damn, that's a nice bike. And I look at the Giant TCR, and if we go back to what it looks like here, it's like, cables, cheap crank, But you look back at the Orbea, and I'm like, damn, like, I like that. So I really do appreciate Henry leaving that comment for me to check it out. I know I've been not the most consistent when you guys have sent in requests for bike comparisons, but I just want to remind you guys that if you just keep sending it, because sometimes I don't see I'll actually get around to making them, and because winter is here in Canada, I'm going to try my best to make as much of these as you guys can. So hopefully when the 2021 season comes around, we can all be on a bike that we totally love and just ride a lot of kilometers. So if these videos truly help you, I'm more than welcome to make them. So smash the like button, comment what bike comparison you want to see next, and until the next one, keep on pedaling.